morning, welcome back to Jody Lewis Creations. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me. In this video, we're going to continue working on the spine of the book. So one thing I made a mistake is I thought this is 2 1/4 1/2 inch overlap. I'll cut my piece of fabric 3 1/4. So I did that, and then I was auditioning it on the book, and I thought, oh, Jody, you didn't allow for the gap for the cover to be able to bend up and not become impinged. So I redid my math, just because I'm out of practice. And so I added, so this is 2 1/4. So I added 1/8 of an inch on both sides. So that would make it 2 1/2. I added 1 inch for, the 1/2 inch overlap on the covers. And then I gave myself a little bit of leeway just for like pressing this down, whatever. So I added just a little bit more. The nice thing is that this is denim and I can fray it if I want to pull some of that excess off. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put more glue on this and adhere it only to one piece of fabric. And that's going to allow that to get good and dry while I work on the sewing of the buttons and creating those dangles and those sorts of things. So that part of the process I am not going to film, because when I'm sewing I hold things all crazy and wonky and all over the place. But I did want to tell you, this part of it. And once this is dry, excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. Once this is dry, I'm also going to go ahead and sew those signatures in. Also not going to do that on film. I think on this, I'm going to go ahead and do a 3-hole. It will be strong enough to hold it, I think. It's an awfully tall journal, but I think it will be okay. I can do a 5-hole, but I just don't really enjoy fighting the 5-hole. And I say fighting because you regardless of what stitch you're using, you have to be so mindful of not putting, I'm sorry, I'm leaning on the table and shaking you. You have to be really mindful of not stitching your thread through itself. So, and a 5-hole's really, it challenges me in that way. And I don't know, maybe I will, because I am concerned about the strength with this being so tall. I mean, a normal journal, I typically make, 9 inches tall, 8 3/4 inches tall, somewhere in there, 8 1/2, 9 1/2, or 8 1/2 to 9, excuse me. So really it's only just slightly taller than that. And the 3-hole I typically would do, the center, and then 1 inch up from the top and bottom. So I do think, realistically speaking, it should be fine. So that's something I have to work out as well in my head, how I want to do that. So I'm just putting this on here and making it, pretty much in the center. Now the PVA glue does grab pretty quickly, so I have to be pretty good about being centered and having it down where I want it. I could pull it up, but run the risk of it being damaged. So that's going to be the inside. So our signatures are going to be sewn into this piece. This will go on the inside of the book, which I just have set aside because I don't want to damage. This will go in here like so. And it's not in here perfectly, but it gives room for the flap. It's going to overlap. It's going to allow for that to be strengthened. And then on the other side, let's see, leave my little gaps, and I leave the little gaps so that this has room, to bend. And of course I did that backwards, but you get the gist, right? So make sure those are evenly spaced on both sides. And then this piece, once I get the bits stitched on it and the signatures sewn in, This is just going to go on the outside here. So it is covering Dumbo's ear just a little bit, but not as bad as I had expected. So that's good. That's encouraging. So the next step for me is going to be just deciding what I want to stitch on this. And then I'm like, do I just do 2? Do I do 3? I don't want it to be too busy. I do love the 9 3/4, so I definitely want to use that. And these I really like, but I'm thinking maybe they're too big. I don't know. So I'll play with that as I'm stitching it and see what I like. So that's where I am right now. Okay, so I kind of have a plan. We're brainstorming with a couple of friends. Hopefully I don't shift this too much. Okay, I'm not gonna do this right now. It's definitely gonna be a sitting in front of the TV project because I don't have time today to sit and stitch this. But I have this piece of necklace in my stash, and I think it's plastic, but that's okay. I just want the chain. So what I'm going to do is disassemble the chain. And I'm hoping there's enough to kind of crisscross in between these pieces. And then what I'll be able to do then is take my jump rings or split rings or whatever and make dangles for these to hang off of the chain, you know, and I'll have that where it's like down flat. You'll see, but I think it's going to be a really cool look and definitely not feminine in any way. So I'm very, very grateful for the friends who were like, yeah, it looks great. Like I just had it like this and they were like, oh, that looks cool. And then I was like, well, I was thinking about the charms, but I don't want it too bulky hanging off the spine, but I definitely want to be able to, you know, have all these bits like incorporated. So I'm going to take these off and put them in a little, I'll just put them in a little bowl. Look at this cute little bowl I got for Christmas. So I'll put them in this little bowl and put these buttons somewhere else for right now. And so I will take all this apart, put them in a bowl, make sure I have a really good picture of how I have these gears behind here. But something that I wanted to show you is that these shanks on this button make it so it's not wanting to lay flat. It's too thick of a shank. So I had the little bits from the spine piece and I cut them down and I punched a hole in them. So now that's acting as a spacer. So that's allowing him to sit a little bit better on there. And I may have to add another piece just to really make sure that he's not doing the wiggle. He's not dancing on the spine. I want him laying flat. Same, so I did it for all of them. This one I was able to use the circle punch, so that was great. And that gear I think is big enough that one's gonna lay flat with no issue. This one, I don't know. I'm thinking the owl needs another little bit. So all I did was cut a little piece, and he's kind of small, so I'm just going to cut a little piece. And then I had to use the bigger hole on my punch because the shanks are bigger than I thought. I tried the little hole, but, and see, it sticks out. I hope you can see, it sticks out. So he needs, you know, this one, it just needs a little bit of a haircut. So the main thing is that it doesn't show, but it serves the purpose of a spacer behind here. And then once this is stitched down, that is going to lay flat on there and not, he won't be dancing on the spine. I mean, he'd be cute dancing on the spine, but that way it'll hold everything in place. And this one I think probably needs one also. So let's just do another one for him. Then I'll just have all of my bits ready to go with no issue. So yeah, so what I will do is on the underside where we're not going to see it, I'm going to divide this fabric into 3, but I also am going to leave like an inch at the top and the bottom. So I'll start at the middle And I'm just gonna mark it like with a Sharpie or something, because that gives me a starting point for where to stick my needle through to start sewing all the bits down. And then the chain I have to incorporate as well, but I'm going to use black thread because with the black chain, I should be able to just tack stitch that down without it really being super visible. And if it's a little visible, it's a handmade project, so it's okay. These extra bits here, I'm going to put back in the bag, so that way I know that these gears are the ones that I have laid out for the spine and don't inadvertently try to use the wrong ones. So again, I'll take a good picture of each one, make sure that I know which pieces I have laying where, and we'll be able to stitch those down. So I'm just going to continue to work on the journal, and then this will be a piece. I guess it'll be a part 2 of the cover of the spine, because I'm going to get the signatures sewn in, and I am going to, then I have stuff I have to do. I have to life today too. So I'm just gonna set all these aside. I need to actually put them back in the envelopes, back in the bin. I will disassemble this. So let's talk about disassembling for a second. Really quickly. I just have my beading pliers here, and you just need a pair of pliers, some good glasses so you can kind of try to see where this chain is split. And this is a plastic chain, so it's hard, or it's plastic coated. And it's no different than working with like your jump rings and stuff, but you just go side to side with it. And now that's separated, and I have the chain to work with, and put that back together. Okay? And sometimes you may end up sacrificing a link when you do that. Hopefully you could see that. I have no idea if I was in frame or not. I probably wasn't. So let me do the other one and make sure I'm in frame. So this chain here, okay, when you look at the link, you'll see that there's like a break in it. And if you can't see it, a lot of times you can feel it. This is kind of a heavy piece of jewelry. So hopefully, come on, focus. Hopefully you can see the break in the chain. And then I've just got my pliers on both sides. The smaller pair is a little bit more difficult to work with. And don't worry, like I said, you may end up sacrificing a link because of the coating and stuff. Sometimes it will come off. Twist them apart. So one to the front, one to the back. If you pull the link itself, yeah, I sacrificed that one. That's okay. If you pull the link like out and open it up, you're actually going to weaken it. So just be mindful of that. Try not to do that. I'm going to put this back on here because I don't know that I have enough length to do what I want to do. So to close that back up, so to take it apart, I pulled it side to side and then or front to back, and then just pushed it back together. And then I will take that lobster clasp off as well. And then what I'll do is I will stitch this in such a way that it's going to look like it's coming out of the gear somehow. And then I can use jump rings to have little bits hanging, hopefully, off of it. And I may take the jump ring off, or I can actually just use the jump ring that's on these charms. See, these have a little jump ring. So, okay, that's my plan. We'll see how it comes to life when I go to do it. So, okay, that's it for now. I will see you guys later. Oh my goodness, guys. So excited. I have no idea how many times I stabbed myself sewing this. It was truly interesting. These darn little shank buttons really gave me a hard time, but I love them. And I'm super, super happy with how this turned out. However, it's really heavy. It's super heavy. I didn't use the black charms on this piece because they were getting lost. So the red was a nice pop of color. And so there's red in the Harry Potter button and red and red. And then I did the keys, and I stitched them down. I decided not to use the jump rings. I just stitched them down. Hopefully they're gonna stay flat. So somewhere in here, I have those pieces of chipboard that I cut to the wrong size, the wrong length, but that's okay. I'm going to use them because I have a hot mess back here with my stitching, and I'm really, really, really worried about the weight of everything being on the spine. So what I'm going to do is just a single layer of chipboard, my PVA glue, and then I'm going to center it, and hopefully that will help stabilize that. And then once I glue this to the spine, that should, you know, really stabilize this piece and make it nice. I hope. That's my hope. So anyway, oh my gosh, I'm just so excited about it. It's so heavy. I've never done anything like this before. And I was brainstorming with a couple of friends with the chain, and so the X's are actually stitched. Everything's stitched. I just used my black Gutermann thread, my sewing thread. So hopefully that's going to be enough. Again, I am going to glue it. I'm really worried about the weight of it, but I am thrilled with how this came out. So obviously the Harry Potter buttons, okay? We have Alice with the charms, but I believe these also cross over into the Kingdom of Hearts game. Plus the keys are part of the Kingdom of Hearts game that he plays. So I think hopefully this represents some of his favorite things on the spine. And then when it is on the cover, it will be, you know, I'll move that for right now. Just pretend. I know this is not how it's going to go because obviously, actually, I'm backwards. Am I backwards? I better pay attention when I'm putting this thing together, huh? Oh my goodness, that could be disastrous, right? So anyway, when I put it together, it's going to be like that. And I think it's going to be just a really eclectic piece, which is what we want. So I'm really excited about it. I'm very happy about it. I just realized that I didn't wrap the inside fabric around the bottom of this. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to hide that cardboard. Boy, you can tell I haven't done this in a while. I'm forgetting things that I know I'm supposed to do. And hopefully I stitched that straight. I did make marks on the inside where the half, you know, the half and then how I wanted it, top and bottom, to not be too close to the top. So anyway, okay. Well, I just wanted to share that with you because I'm really excited. And then I will probably be back with you in the morning to, I don't know if I'll get these stitched in tonight or not, but I would like to get them stitched in and get everything glued so that way it can dry overnight. We'll see. I don't know. It's getting to be late. Okay, so it's the next morning. And no, I didn't get it sewn in yesterday. But see how that stabilized? It's much, much more secure, I think, now that I've backed that. So I'm just going to use this color of the waxed thread. I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to get this sewn in. And so what I will do is just use my poker and make holes where I have this marked. And I'm ignoring the center mark. So I hope I have this measured right. I'm going to rethink my measurement here and just make sure that my measurements are correct before I put this in. But I think, actually here, sometimes I just do it like this so that I can see where it's going to sit. Yeah, those are fine. They're going to be fine. Okay, and I have to remember it doesn't go this way when I sew it. It goes with the denim to the inside because that's what I want to see. I don't want to see the cardstock. That's the whole point of it being hidden. So I'm going to stitch this in just like I would, and then I'll come back and show you that. And then I'm going to glue this to the, I think. signature sewn in, and as you can see, I had a really hard time getting it to go through the way I needed it to. I stabbed myself pretty good. I don't know why it was giving me such a hard time to get back through that center. Obviously something shifted, and I mean, it happens, and sometimes that's just how it is, and that's why I don't film when I'm sewing in signatures, because sometimes there's a few choice words that come out, especially when something like that happens, because now I have all these little puncture marks that I'm gonna have to contend with. I don't think they're terrible, but it frustrates me when that happens. Hopefully, as this gets put together, we're not gonna notice that as much. So I'm gonna get the second one sewn in. I was also having issues with the math, because obviously the spine's bigger than this, and because it's an odd 9 3/16, that's not following. I don't have 30 seconds on my ruler, and let's be real, I'm not going to deal with that. Although, maybe I'll try the metric side, and that'll be easier. But anyway, so I'm going to get the second one sewn in. I will have sped up the section where I was sewing that in, because I'm listening to Rhoda, and obviously can't have that noise in the background. So anyway, so I'll finish getting this sewn in and get it put together. But I do like that that tightened up pretty nicely. Those center pages are out just a little bit more. That's typical. I'm not that worried about it, because I think as we get the cover on here, hopefully it's going to stick out just enough that's not really going to matter. And hopefully my spine's not too crazy big, but oh, all these hopefullys, right? I mean, geez, oh man, but it's okay. And it's going to have room for him to do what he wants. So I'll get this one sewn in, and then I'll be back. Well, I will say that that was extremely difficult, and clearly I'm way out of practice with sewing in signatures, but it's done. And I had equally hard time with the second one in that center hole. So obviously I moved it differently, did something different, I don't know. So now I have to figure this out, because I need to put this piece on the back and allow that to dry, because what has to happen then is this attaches to this. Or I attach this to the front and back, because then that will give me the flat surface to put this on, because this is not a flat surface. So I'm going to use my PVA glue again for the bookbinding process, and it's the Line Co. PVA. I got it on Amazon a really, really long time ago. And again, I love that stuff. So what I think I will do is think about this for a minute so I don't mess it up. Well, I will say that that was extremely difficult, and clearly I'm way out of practice with sewing in signatures, but it's done. And I had equally hard time with the second one in that center hole. So obviously I moved it differently, did something different, I don't know. So now I have to figure this out, because I need to put this piece on the back and allow that to dry, because what has to happen then is this attaches to this. Or I attach this to the front and back, because then that will give me the flat surface to put this on, because this is not a flat surface. So I'm going to use my PVA glue again for the bookbinding process, and it's the Line Co. PVA. I got it on Amazon a really, really long time ago. And again, I love that stuff. So what I think I will do is think about this for a minute so I don't mess it up. Okay, I really feel like this is an awkward way to do this, but I don't typically have such a decorated spine on something. So I'm just gonna go with it. I left my paintbrush downstairs. It's okay, I'm not gonna use the paintbrush. I'm just gonna use my finger. So you can see I'm leaving a pretty good gap here, and I want that gap because I really want room for this to open and close. Pray I'm doing this right. I have overlap of my fabric, and while the fabric sticks out the bottom a little bit, it sticks out the top more, and that's fine. That's what I want. so that the book can sit on its bottom with no issue. And then, but it's fine if it's got stuff out the top. It's going to have stuff out the top, actually. Okay, so then what's going to happen is I'm going to put my parchment in here. No, I'm not. What am I going to do? Oh my goodness, I'm nervous. I am so nervous right now. This is ridiculous. Use my cutting mat. Okay, I'm gonna use my cutting mat. I'm gonna run a bead of glue down this side. I'm gonna smooth it out, and I'm going to place my book covers on here. So this is not how I've typically done it. I've done hidden spines in the past, shown you how to do hidden spines. I probably should go watch my own video because I'm like having a struggle with this, but that's okay. I think I'm just doing it backwards because of the embellishment on the spine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna go with it. So when you glue this, you really want to make sure that you're straight, okay? And it's really gonna come into play with like when you put the second spine on. So you want to make sure you're not, you know, being crazy. You want it really straight, which is part of why you want to make sure that this is straight, because you know you're using that as a gauge. So I'm gonna get this glued on and then let it sit for a couple minutes to kind of grip and hold, and then I'm going to put this piece on because I really want it to dry while I'm gone to my appointments today. So I will, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. It is. Yep. And I'm thinking my way through it, and I know I'm pausing. It's just been a while, and I'm having to remember how to do it. And I honestly can't remember the last time I did a hidden spine, because I don't think I did one last summer at all. So yeah, it's been a while. So I'm just trying to pull it from the recesses of my brain here. And it's fine. And when we don't do things, you know, all the time, sometimes you have to stop and think, and it's okay to take the time and just make sure everything's good to go. I'm just trying to make sure I have enough fabric to grip the covers, and it looks like I do when I recut them and added the extra. I think that was a really smart choice. And it looks pretty good here. I would say that's about 1/8 of an inch gap. Yeah, so that's about what I wanted. And then that's gonna give me, you know, room for this to do this, all my technical terms. And yeah, so I'm just gonna use my little spatula tool here, get my glue on, and then get them attached. Okay, so I have the front and the back cover on here, and I'm just trying to apply a little bit of pressure to make sure it's on. Now what we're gonna do is I'm going to first put glue in the middle here, and then I'm going to get this put on. And then what I'm going to do is lay another thingy on here and put a heavy book on here. I just want to make sure that it's hopefully gonna be okay. I'm so nervous. I'm like jittery nervous too, doing this, because I'm just afraid that I'm messing it up. And you know, on this side, I was like, oh, I can't get glue on that denim and that seam, but that's silly because it's going to get the glue there. It's going to be a lot of editing in this video because as I keep pausing you, I'm listening to Rhoda. She's building her 8x8 with the Stamperia pad. So if you haven't seen that video, you should go check that out. It's really cute, and she tells the best stories. Anyway, so I enjoyed listening to those, and cracking me up. She's cracking me up today. Okay, just want to make sure this is all over on this, and then I'm only putting it on the chipboard, cardboard, whatever, for right now, because I mean, I'm getting a little bit over on the edge, but I need to be able to see to glue the denim down on each side, make sure that we're good there. And just making sure that we have a good amount of glue here. And I don't want a lot of seepage because I don't want the seepage to soak through the denim too much. I mean, we're gonna see it a little bit, but I don't want it to be a lot. And so for right now, even though I know I'm going to be gluing it, I want to just kind of wipe that excess off to start with. Just to, oh my gosh, I'm like seriously so nervous right now. I'm sure you can hear it in my breath and breathing and stuff. Okay, so what I need to be able, I'm gonna stick my head down here. Oh, okay. All right, just go for it. I would say it's only paper, but in this instance, it's not only paper, and I think that's part of my problem. Okay. Okay, and then I know that this piece was a little bit shorter than the other piece, that inside piece, so I'm just gonna stick my head in the way here. Okay, the top, the bottom. Okay, push that up a little bit more. Okay. All right, so hopefully now we're going to be adhered well, and that's going to do a couple of things. That's going to secure our stitching for our signatures, and it's going to really give us a pretty good strong spine, because now I've got 3 pieces of board in there, which don't really need, that's not necessary to have 3, but because of how heavy this piece is with all of the gears and buttons and stuff, it'll be good. It'll just help hold everything, I think. I hope. Oh, have faith in yourself, Jody. Have faith in yourself. All right, so I got squishy down really well. So then what happens? Oh, I can hear my friend right now. What happened, Jody? What happened? See, that's a little more to the back than the front. Let's see if we can skirt that a little bit, but I don't think so, Tim. Okay. Okay, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Should be okay now. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so now what has to happen is I've got to get these attached to the front covers, which is not going to be that big of a deal. And then I want to leave it lay flat so that it can dry. I'm so excited. I mean, this piece took me so long to stitch on yesterday. So hopefully it's going to be good and secure. So I'm just going to run a bead of glue in here and work with that. and then I'll run a bead of glue in the back and work with that. And you'll see I'm going to push this down once there's glue in there, and that's gonna help hold it. Then I'm gonna let it sit for a second so it can dry, and then we'll go from there. Okay, well, we are sticking out a little bit, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make that not be such a big deal, because I didn't take that into account to put another little piece of spine on the front, but I think it'll be okay. I think he's gonna be fine, and I'll figure it out. And I may just have to trim a little bit, hopefully not. But this needs to dry. This is shifting because I'm touching it. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. If you have any ideas on tips or tricks on that, those pages sticking out, please let me know. I'll think about it today while we're out and about doing stuff. And I want to make sure this is good and adhered, and I may have to do some touch up, but I'm going to just let it sit and quit fussing with it for right now. And just, yeah, let it dry. And then when I come back later or in the morning, probably, I don't know if I'll get a chance in the morning. But anyway, we'll figure it out. So today's Erie and tomorrow's Cleveland. So just a couple of busy days here. Let that dry, see what it's gonna look like. So I'll get this uploaded and get it published. And please give me feedback and any suggestions you have on those pages sticking out. And I may not even worry about it because it's okay if it's a little grungy, and I don't mind that. Oops, sorry about that. I hit my light, and we'll go from there. But I'm just gonna let this sit and dry. But I love, love, love that spine. I think it's so cool looking. Very, very happy with how that turned out. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.